what happened was Superintendent of Public Instruction has a primary challenger. It was announced on Tuesday that Wednesday there would be a press conference at 9:30. And then we found out that the challenger is State Treasurer Kimberly Yee, fellow Republican, obviously primary challenger. And she laid out some of the reasons at a press conference. She came on the show yesterday at 10:30 to talk to us about why she was running for office. And so we invited the superintendent on, and we're trying to get this communication figured out right now. I sent him a text with our number. Hopefully he's going to be calling us here in just a moment, because this is an important race. Obviously, the superintendent's office is a statewide race. It is one of the big five here in Arizona. It's an important office. Do we have him now? All right. We are okay. We are waiting for the superintendent to call us back. So the race is, I think the big disconnect has largely to do with the ESA program. ESAs are empowerment scholarship accounts. The ESA accounts were not started under this administration. They were started under the previous superintendent. And there were some people upset about the way it was being implemented in some of the allowable expenses and expenditures. Do we have him now? All right, so he is joining us now. Sorry about the miscommunication and the technical difficulties, sir, but the superintendent's with us. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Horne.
Oh, it's good to be with you, Mike, as always.
So let's talk about your primary challenger. Were you surprised that you are being challenged, and are you surprised that it's Kimberly Yee?
Yeah, I'm surprised because the issue, it started with Jake Hoffman. Now, I'm not surprised to be in conflict with him. He's a little bit crazy, and he's got this crazy theory that I have to pay out anything parents ask for without any making sure that it's a legitimate education expense or reasonable cost. That's a totally crazy theory, because it means I would have paid a $5,000 watch, a $24,000 golf simulator, a vasectomy testing kit, of all things. Well, I've got a list of 35, crazy things that people have asked for that we've turned down. He says I don't have the authority to turn it down. I'm surprised Kimberly Yee would agree to be basically a tin can on Hoffman's wagging tail and espouse a crazy theory like that. That does surprise me about Kim Yee.
Have you had any conversations with her? Do you plan on having a conversation with her or a debate about these things?
I would love to have a debate with her. Be interesting to see how anyone could defend that kind of crazy position. I called her when I heard rumors that she might be running. I called her twice and sent her a text message, and she didn't respond to any of them.
So let me lay something out for you and get your opinion, because I know part of this is out of your purview, but many of the people that are upset about the limits on ESA expenditures, their defense is this. Parents are being held to a very high standard on the things that they are allowed to purchase, which I'm not necessarily against, sir. But the question is, why are we not having the same kind of scrutiny of the school boards and the superintendents and the expenditures there? Why are their expenditures not looked at and also have to be verified and validated?
Well, we have a local control state, so it's up to the school boards to do their job honestly. When I learn about abuses, I can publicize them, and a lot of times that results in corrections, especially in the areas like DEI and inappropriate sexual stuff. We got on my hotline, I got a teacher saying that she had professional development, and she sent us a video saying that the United States was a white supremacist country. When I publicized that, it stopped. By the way, I've been fighting President Trump's issues against DEI and critical race theory and keeping boys out of girls' sports and out of their bathrooms and showers. Kimberly Yee has not been fighting any of that, as an aside. But the way the system exists now is really up to the school boards to do their jobs honestly and diligently. And when I find out abuses, I can publicize it, but I don't have any direct power over
Right.
them. So that but if there is fraud and abuse in some public schools, there clearly has been. Obviously, there has been some. That doesn't mean we should have waste, fraud, and abuse in this program. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
I'm in that sense, I'm carrying out also President Trump's idea that we need to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, not encourage it, or say leave it alone. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. The reason I was posing the juxtaposition that there are people that are upset that believe that because the vast majority of public education dollars are still being spent in the public school system by school districts. We've got the example of the Isaac School District and the money problems that they had, which nobody knew about until it was far too late in the game, and they're in receivership. There's another West Valley School District now that has somehow become a landlord. They're leasing out land. There's a lot of questions from parents about why isn't there any oversight of scrutiny in how school boards. That's the only thing I was pointing out. I agree with you that there should be.
Mike, we got a bill passed this year that says that we can, when we become aware of fraud, we can bring it to the Auditor General and start an investigation. Up till now, it's been the Department of Education has not had that power, but now we pushed a bill to give us that power, and it did pass, and the governor signed it. So we can be more active on those things when it comes to our attention. But it's not. We don't audit their finances. The Auditor General does, and but when we become aware of problems, now for the first time, we do have the power to bring it to the Auditor General.
When it comes to this primary race, just speaking specifically of Republican voters before we go to a general election, do you believe the biggest issue on voters' minds is going to be ESAs, or do you think it's teacher retention? Do you think that it's reading and math skills? What do you think are the priorities in the minds of the voters?
Well, as far as the race, the issue that's been presented is, do we or do we not have the authority to require that all expenditures be for a legitimate educational purpose and at a reasonable cost according to market prices? That's the issue that she's raised. I would think the answer to any sensible person is obviously yes. And we have a number of judicial pronouncements that we do have that authority, because we're not the final say. The parents can appeal to an administrative law judge and ultimately to the state board, and we've won every single appeal. And in those appeals, the question of whether we have that authority is always litigated, and every single judge that's had it has ruled that we do have that authority. So it's pretty well judicially established that we do have that authority. I just think the idea that we just have to pay anything, no matter how absurd, I gave you some examples, is so outlandish that I really was surprised to see Kimberly taking that position.
When you look at the race itself, again, because it's a partisan race and we're talking about a primary, do you believe a contentious primary hurts your chance or her chance, or Republicans' chance of retaining that office against the Democrat challenger?
Yeah, absolutely, without question. I have to divert resources into a primary that should be going into a general election. So when somebody starts a primary against an incumbent, as in this case, the main beneficiary is the Democrats.
So then the question, my last question is prioritizing the message to the voters. What are you going to go to the voters with when it comes to retaining teachers? Because I know you've been outspoken about that, and about learning loss and regaining that learning loss, English immersion. What's your message to the voters? Well,
my general message to the voters is, first of all, every state of education speech I've given at the legislature, I push hard on the issue that we must pay our teachers more. It's very, very important. I have 15 initiatives to help schools improve their academics. We had a project with the bottom 5%, about 90 some schools, And by the time we were done, 70% of those schools were no longer in the bottom 5%, as an example. We're doing a lot along that line. That's our main, I would say 90% of my time and effort in that other department is helping the schools get better academic results. That's what I've been doing. But, it might not be the issue. I think the important issue will be the fact that I have been fighting very hard for the president's agenda with respect to things like boys and girls sports and DEI and inappropriate sexual content in courses and critical race theory. And Kimberly Yee has not. She's very inactive. I don't know if you could think of anything she's done while she's been treasurer. And on the contrary, the executive agencies overspent their budgets by $350 million. And if there's anything you expect of the treasurer, it's that they make sure people are within their budget. She just went ahead and issued the checks.
So as it pertains to the campaign, is there a website if people want to learn more about your platforms and what you stand on, if they can learn more about where you stand? Is there a website for your campaign?
Yes, TomHorne.com.
I appreciate the time this morning.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch and listen to the new season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.